Hello po sa ating lahat. Ang subject natin for today is forensic photography. Ano nga ba ang photography? Photography is derived from Greek words photo or phos, which means light, and graphos or graphein, which means to draw or light. Thus literally means photography means to draw with light. So photograph refers to chemical, mechanical, as well as electronic product of photography. So merong apat na aspeto ang photography na pwede natin siyang maintindihan. Number one, it is an art. Photography is an art of taking pictures. Bakit? Ang sinasabi dito, bakit daw siya art? Because it is a teamwork between the photographer and the camera. Photography becomes an art when certain controls are applied. So as fine art, photograph must go beyond the literal representation of the subject or the location. Thus, it clearly revealed that the creation or the art or the image is not literally or not created by the camera, but by the artist, which is the photographer. And then number two, science. Photography is the study concerning duplication of images through the action of light upon sensitized materials such as the photographic paper, photographic film, and the aid of chemical devices such as the camera and its accessories and chemical processes such as chemicals such as the silver iodide, ano pa ba? Silver bromide, and the others, which are used for filming or developing the photo. And then number three, as a technology. Photography is the technology geared towards the reproduction of images by using the action of light on sensitive surface such as the photographic film. With the help of an image-forming device, the camera, and the chemical processes, developing and printing involved therein. Also, technology of photography uses the equipments, techniques, and processes used in reproduction or production of the photograph. And then, as a process naman, as we continue on with our discussion, ma-explain natin mas broader yung process in developing, in printing our photographs. But for a while, photography is the method of using light to produce identical image of the object that can be preserved permanently by employing two things, the camera and the film. So next, technical photography and forensic photography. Technical photography refers to the technical concepts and principles, which includes characteristics of photographic rays. Photographic rays is also known as the visible light or the visible rays that can be easily seen by our own naked eyes. And then the use of camera, because there are certain subjects or certain locations, certain purposes that requires a certain type of camera, and as well as the certain type of lenses, filters, structure of film and photographic papers, chemical processing, and the others. So what is police photography? Police photography refers to the study of general practices, methods, techniques of taking pictures of the crime scene. Ibig sabihin, ang police photography is the act of taking evidence with the use of our camera. Physical evidences and other circumstances that can be used as evidences or for the law enforcement purposes. The field that focuses on practical applications of science of photography in police work and law enforcement operation. Third, the field that deals with the systematic crime scene photography and mug file preparation, including scientific techniques of photography, physical evidences, and other objects and images that is to be needed to reproduce and preserve for law enforcement. So, bakit nga ba crucial or bakit sobrang importante ng trabaho ng isang police photographers in criminal investigation? Because the photographs they take at the crime scene create a permanent record of the scene, and even though, bakit siya importante? Kasi kahit linisin mo na or ibalik na sa ayos yung crime scene, at least meron kang hawak na ebidensya or yung photograph mo as your permanent record. Sabi dito, of the scene and evidence found there which both detectives and prosecutors rely on. And then second, and then another pala is forensic photography. This refers to the field covering the legal application of photography in criminal jurisprudence. Ibig sabihin, pag sinabi na nating forensic photography, ibig sabihin, gagamitin na siya sa court of law and criminal investigation. It is the branch of forensic science, sometimes called criminalistics. Hindi lang forensic photography ang nag-under sa criminalistics. Meron din tayong sinasabing personal identification, question document examination, and the like, which are dealing with the study of fundamental but pragmatic principles of photography, application of photography in law enforcement, and the preparation of photographic evidences needed by the prosecutors and the court of law. So what are the objectives of the police photography? To produce pictorial record of everything pertaining to the crime. Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, magiging permanent record na yung picture or yung photograph na nakuha mo from the crime scene, na kahit even linis na siya or ibalik na sa normal yung crime scene na yon, parang wala nang nangyari, hindi na naganap yung crime scene, well, at least meron kang permanent record na hawak, which is yung image mo or yung photograph na nakuha mo before ayusin yung crime scene. And then to help in keeping the police officer's memory accurately as possible, as well as where he find things. Kasi merong mga certain things or maybe minute evidences na maaring na-overlook ng ating police officer. So, yung photography, yung objective nun, maybe mai-refresh yung memory ng ating police officer at maalala niya, okay, doon nakalocate, doon nakakabit yung isang evidences na yon. Maaring makatulong yon sa progress ng ating investigation. And then, another is to help in securing and obtaining confession, disposition, information relating to the case. So, importance of forensic photography. Number 1, small objects but great importance, kagaya na sinabi ko kanina. Maybe sa unang tingin mo, karating mo dun sa crime scene, hindi mo kaagad-agad na makikita yung pinaka or yung minute evidences na maybe important siya sa progress ng investigation mo. And then number 2, a good photograph of the scene is a permanent record, again, kagaya na sinabi ko kanina, which is always available, especially in the court presentation. Kasi nga, ang forensic photography or yung photography na nakuha mo sa crime scene, ito na yung permanent record mo, hindi mo na mababago yon. At yun yung kahit nga maibalik na sa dati, na wipe out na, hindi, alam mo yun, hindi siya nagulo. Kasi meron kang permanent record na hawak. And then as a general rule ng importance ng forensic photography is that take many photographs of the scene, of the crime scene, and select the best. Kung baga karating mo dun sa crime scene, kinukuhanan mo na lahat, mas maganda ng kahit yung mga maliliit, yung pako, yung thumbtacks, ganyan, kuhanan mo na yon. For at least, wala kang na-overlook, wala kang na-miss, ganyan, para masasabi mo na, okay, ginawa ko yung trabaho ko, tingnan ko na lang yung camera roll ko o yung memory ko or yung camera, i-scan ko yung mga pictures na nakuha ko, and then i-select mo kung alin dun yung magiging helpful sa investigation. Used as an aid by the investigator to describe in court some of the details of the crime scene they have investigated several months ago to small details and exact locations and objects. Another use of forensic photography is pwede silang mag-compare with their other co-investigators. And then number 5, to assist investigator using photographic equipment techniques to their effort to solve the crimes. And then, significance of photography in law enforcement and criminal investigation. Number 1, photographs are necessary to preserve 3 things, which is the space or yung place kung saan nangyaring crime or yung crime scene. And then number 2 is the time, kung kailan at anong oras nangyari. And then yung event, kung anong klaseng crime yung naganap. Maybe it's homicide, murder, suicide, and the like. Pictures allow the police investigator to understand the element of clarifying and revealing what is not seen and understood upon the discovery of crime. Kasi pag meron kang hawak na permanent record, which is yung image mo or yung photograph mo, pag nagkakaroon ka ng hard time in remembering or yung nagkakaroon ka ng hard time na bumalik sa crime scene na yon, makaka-help doon yung hawak mong permanent record, which is yung image mo or yung photography mo. Third, photograph is a great help in preserving the visual appearance of the crime. It provides a permanent record of the facts of the crime. Another significance ng photography is that pag meron na tayong, magko-conduct ka na ng physical, kung kailangan mong i-recreate yung crime scene mo. Ang paano mo i-recreate yung crime scene mo, hindi ka lang naman basta-basta magre-rely sa memory mo, di ba? So, ang magiging big help o magiging basehan mo yung photographs na kinuha mo bago ma-wipe out o bago mabalik sa dati yung crime scene. So, yun. And then, steps are taken to ensure proper photographic documentation. Number 1 is secure the scene. So, syempre, i-cordon mo yung area para ma-preserve yung evidences mo. And then, number 2, evaluate the condition. Tingnan mo yung weather kung nasa outside, kung nasa outdoors ka, kung nakikita mo malapit ng umulan, syempre, bilisan mo na yung pag-picture. And then, kung nasa indoors ka naman, let's say kung madilim, i-set mo na yung camera mo, yung mga certain settings diyan, i-adjust mo na. So, ganon. Evaluate the condition and then i-set mo na yung camera mo kung ano yung maaangkop sa kondisyon na kung nasan yung crime scene na yun. So, yun. And then, so mag-ano ka na, i-shoot mo na yung mga evidences mo. In shooting the evidences, merong
So, correction lang po dito sa bandang shoot the scene po. Yung sinasabi ko po about the shoot the scene is dapat po dito tayo sa photograph the evidence. Pag shoot the scene po, dapat yung pag-take po natin ng crime scene natin from outside to close up pictures. So, for example po, yung crime scene natin is nasa isang building. Ang una-una pipicturean niyo po is yung buong building itself and then yung main door. Then, kung yung crime scene po natin is nasa 3rd floor, picturean po natin yung elevator. And then, pag doon po tayo sa 3rd floor, yung pagkabukas po ng elevator, pipicturean po natin yon. And then, yung hallway, and then yung mismong door kung saan naganap yung crime scene. And then, doon na po, mag-conduct na po tayo ng walkthrough doon, pipicturean na po natin yung mga necessary evidence. So, yun po pag shoot the scene. So, yun lang po, balik na po tayo sa ating discussion.
That is yung full range, which is yung malayo, yung kita-kita yung buong evidence. And then second is the mid-range, yung tamang-tama lang, walang gaanong spaces. And then yung third is yung close-up. Ito na talaga yung meron na tayong evidence marking or yung meron nang nakatabi sa kanyang panukat. Ganon. Going back dun sa panukat pala, pipicturean mo yung evidences na merong, yung evidence lang mismo, and then yung second picture ng in close-up is yung meron na siyang panukat or yung measurement. And then number 4, kung nandun pa yung victim, picturean yung victim. And then number 5, again, photograph the evidence. Sabi dito, each piece of evidence should be photographed to illustrate where it was found. This establishes the relationship of the evidence to the victim to the room, and so on. This photograph should be taken from straight above or straight on at right angles, eliminating potential distances, distortions. Each piece of evidence should photograph with a scale, like I said kanina, yung measure or yung panukat natin to indicate size and without a scale. So, dalawa yon, isang with the scale, isang wala. And then yung evidence markers natin, yung mga nakikita natin na yellow placard na merong A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. And then, kung meron ka na overlook, just reshoot new evidences. And then, dito na tayo sa types of photography. Forensic photography, kagaya na sinabi natin kanina, basta alalahanin natin, pag sinabi natin forensic photography, gagamitin na siya sa criminal jurisprudence or criminal investigation. And then, photomacrography naman, ito, ang sandali lang ito intindihan kasi lahat naman tayo siguro nakakita na tayo ng microscope. So, microscope and then may naka-attach lang na camera doon. And then photomacrography naman, this refers to the technique of duplicating or reducing the picture or document into a miniature size for storage. And then photomacrography naman, ito yung kabaligtaran ng photomacrography. Ibig sabihin, pinapalaki niya. For example, nakikita tayo, ibalak nating picturean yung fly. So, para mag-appear siya as big, gagamit tayo or i-conduct natin ang photomacrography. And then macrophotography naman, this refers to close-up photography that produces images on a film that are life-size. And then ultraviolet photography, self-explanatory, gumagamit tayo ng UV light when conducting this type of photography. And then same as with the infrared photography. Infrared photography is very useful sa questioned document, lalo na sa mga burnt document natin. Because yung infrared photography, yung burnt parts ng document, pag kinonduct natin or flashan natin siya ng infrared, mababasa na or magiging readable na yung content ng isang burnt document. And then X-ray photography. Also, ang X-ray din po ginagamit sa pag gusto nating malaman yung nasa loob ng isang opaque container. Kunyari, yung sa mga archaeologist po natin, pag nakakahukay sila ng mga mummy tomb, hindi naman po agad-agad nila binubuksan yan kasi maybe may dalang sakit yung body na nasa loob ng tomb na yon. So, ang gagawin nila para malaman nila kung ano yung nasa loob, kung tao ba yon or animal, ganyan, gagamit sila ng X-ray photography. Ang another example din po nun, yung mga nasa airports po natin, yung nag-scan po ng bags natin. So, yun. And then, yung flash photography, basically, gumagamit tayo ng flash. And then, stick photography, this refers to photography that traces movement by either the camera or the subject being moved during exposure. And then, nighttime photography, self-explanatory, ito po yung nag-picture po tayo sa gabi. Kaya sinasabi po natin siya nighttime. And then, high-speed photography, ito po yung mga nakikita natin sa Facebook. Yung meron po tayong nakikita malaking aquarium na puno ng tubig. And then, merong puputok ng barel or may maghahagis ng, or may titira ng arrow dun sa aquarium na yon. And then, biglang magsuslow-mo yung movement ng bullet or ng arrow. Yun po yung isang example ng high-speed photography. And then, aerial photography, ito naman po gumagamit tayo ng ng helicopters or ng aeroplanes, ganyan. Also, another work of aerial photography is surveillance po. Kasi naka-experience po ako noon nung dumating po si ex-President Pinoy sa Tarlac sa aking former school. Maraming nagro-roam na helicopters noon for surveillance. If in case na magkaroon man ng aberya or ng shootout, during nung nandun si ex-President Pinoy sa aming school, alam nila yung routes kung saan nila mapuput to safety ang ating president, which at that time is President Pinoy. So, very similar din ang aerial photography sa drone photography. Ang drone photography naman, yung controller niya is nag-maintain siya sa land and then yung device, yung drone mismo, yun yung lumilipad. And then underwater photography, this refers to special underwater cameras in pressure-resistant housing are also used in deep sea exploration. Kasi wala pa po akong nakita na DSLR yung talagang camera na may lens na waterproof. So kung paano nako-conduct ang underwater photography is that merong siyang container or nakakabit siya sa isang specialized case para pwede mong gamitin yung DSLR mo o yung camera mo sa ilalim ng water. So, yun. And then astronomical photography, this refers to photography that places the photographic plate in a focal plane of a telescope. Astronomers can obtain precise records of the location and brightness of celestial bodies. And then microfilming, this refers to photography that consists of photographically reducing images to very small sizes. An early application of photographing of bank checks in 1920s, now techniques in widely used to store information that would otherwise require too much space. So, ang another po nito, another information on microfilming, pag sobrang tanda na po ng document natin, pwede po siyang, yun to the point na pag hinawakan po natin yung document na yon is dumidikit na siya sa mga kamay natin. Ang ang solution doon is microfilming to preserve that document para magkaroon siya ng extra copy and maging safe siya kahit hindi mo na talaga mismo ilabas yung document na lumang yon, ko-convert natin siya through microfilming. And then mugshot photography, this refers to usually to personal identification, which is the first use of photography in police work. And then thermal photography, ito rin po ginagamit po to sa mga airports, nag-scan po siya ng mga tao doon, if nilalagnat ba sila or may sakit ba sila, ganon. Hindi po ako makapag-flash ng images, pero yun po is pag in-scan po or gumamit po tayo ng thermal photography, ang kalalabasan ng images po nun is like red, orange yung face mo or yung katawan mo. And then telephotography naman po, this refers to the process of taking a photograph of a far object with the aid of long focus and telephoto lens. Ito po yung mga mahahabang lenses na also ginagamit din po siya for surveillance ng isang tao or for spying din po. For example is yung nandito ka nasa isang bundok ka and then yung subject mo or yung gusto mong picture nasa kabilang bundok naman. So, gagamit tayo ng telephoto or long focus lens para mapicturean natin yung subject na yon. So, this tackles the principles of photography, the basic principles, the elements of photography. So, basic principles of photography, number 1 is light. So, pag narinig po natin yung word na photography, di ba po, unang papasok sa utak natin is yung pinaka-importante, pag naririnig natin ang photography is that yung camera mismo, yung device na ginagamit natin for capturing that scene or that subject. Pero no, the most important fundamental element of photography is yung light because it illuminates the subject or the scene, whether it can be natural or artificial. The quality and the direction of light is what is important. So, sabi nila dito na light is the most important tool that it is used by our photographers, whether it can be professional or non-professional. Qualities of light. We have intensity, color, direction, quality, and contrast. So, intensity, the amount of light reflected by the performer and the background, also referred to as the quantity of light, and it refers to how bright or how dim the light source is. So, another term for intensity po is yung exposure or lang natin tatandaan is the quantity of light. This is the brightness level na ini-emit ng natural light source natin or artificial dun sa ating subject or location. The distance between the source of light or the subject has the massive impact on your image. So, pag sumobra po kasi tayo sa intensity or yung sinasabi nating exposure, or meron po tayong sinasabing na overexposed image. Ito po yung washing out or nawa-washed out yung image natin. Magiging parang white canvas na lang po ang ating image or yung subject at location natin. And then next is the color. The color, also known as the temperature of light reflected by the performer and the background. So under po ng color, dito po yung hue and saturation. So this is also known as the temperature of image. Color indicates the feeling you want to emit to your viewers. So meron po tayong dalawang classification nun. We have the warm tones and the cool tones. Under warm tones po, dito po yung yellows, red, orange, ganyan. Those colors set up a feeling of vibrant and happiness. Parang pag nakita mo pag mataas yung, kasi pwede po natin i-adjust yung color, no, in editing our photos. So, yung pag in-adjust mo po yung warm tones ng photo mo, mag-i-emit siya ng happiness sa inyong sa viewers nyo. And then, another is yung cool tones. These are the blue, greens, and grays. Ito naman po, nag-i-emit siya ng parang relaxed, calmness, and the feeling of being zen. So, sometimes din po, ang mga cool colors, nag-i-emit din po siya ng sadness. Kung itutulad po natin yung cool tones sa weather, ito po yung gloomy, yung parang malapit na pong umulan. So, and then yung direction naman po, the direction or the angle of light determines the length and location of the shadow cast by the performer and the three-dimensional props around him. So, yung importante po naman dito, yung direction is that kung saan po nanggagaling yung light natin. Kasi, example na lang po, when we are shooting our evidence, lalo na po yung mga footprints or tool marks po natin, meron po tayong sinasabing ginagamit natin is yung side lighting. Kasi side lighting makes the texture or the shape nung print na yon more visible. Kasi po pag kinuhanan po natin yung print na yon, yung shoe print na yon, for example, ng tutok, hindi po lalabas ang kanyang shape or yung texture. Yan po. And then, so next is yung quality po. Quality is not something we can adjust unlike the aforementioned, like po yung intensity, color, and direction, and then susunod po natin yung contrast. So yung tatlo pong yun or yung apat pong yun, pwede po silang i-adjust. Pero yung quality po, hindi. O so paano po natin ma-ensure or paano po natin malalaman yung quality ng photo natin? This depends on the visual perception po ng ating tayo po ng kumukuha or ng mga photographers natin. So this includes the brightness, the contrast, the color, parang the combination of all po ng qualities of light. So doon po natin mabibase ang ating quality. Also po, may base po ang quality ng light natin or quality ng image natin sa mga gamit na tumutulong sa atin, just like yung camera, yung filters, yung lenses po. And then yung meron naman po tayo is yung sinasabi nating contrast. This tackles the brightest and the darkest color of the image. So ang contrast po natin, ginagamit din siya for kung saan mo gustong i-focus yung viewers mo sa image mo. Pag tinaasan niyo po kasi yung contrast natin or yung contrast ng image mo, magda-darken ang background niya if you're shooting a human being. So this contrast is also used to control the focus of the viewers of the image. Next po tayo sa sources of light. We have natural light source. Number 1 is the moon and the stars. So pag paggabi na po, syempre makikita natin ang moon and stars. For your information po, for everyone, is that the moon doesn't really have a light of its own. It only reflects its light that it emits from the sun. So pag paggabi na po, parang pa-triangle po yan. Ang sun, magbibigay siya ng light from the moon, and then the moon only absorbs about 7% of the sun's light, and then kung ano yung na-absorb niya, yun po ibibigay niya sa earth. So yun po. And then the stars naman po, nagdi-depend po kasi ang stars kung nasan tayo. Bakit kaya? Nagdi-depend kung gaano karami or gaano ka-bright ang stars kung nasan tayo. Kasi meron po tayong sinasabing light pollution. Ito po, mas common po sa mga cities natin like Manila, ganyan. Kasi pag nasa barrio po tayo or nasa countryside po tayo, doon, yung stars natin, mas vibrant siya, mas distinct siya. So, ano yung light pollution? This is the excessive or misdirected or obtrusive artificial light. Artificial light such as yung mga poste po natin or yung mga skylights sa building. So, yung light pollution po dyan, ang light pollution, ang ano po nito, ang nakaka-effect nito is yung binablock niya yung starlight natin. And also, another consequence po of light pollution is yung nag-i-intrude po siya sa astronomical research ng ating mga astronomers. So, yun po. And then yung sunlight naman, ito po yung pinaka most popular and most used source of light. It is free and no need to be transported. Though, the sunlight is very unpredictable. Kasi syempre po, magiging makulimlim, maybe baka umulan, ganyan. Pero ang solution po doon, if you are taking a photo or kailangan mong i-shoot yung scene, is that pwede mo naman iset yung camera mo, yung settings mo, yung shutter speed, and yung aperture opening ng inyong camera. And then we have bioluminescence such as the fireflies, jellyfish, glowworms, and then another is yung natural phenomena such as the lightning and volcanic eruptions, which also classification of light according to its intensity. Number 1, we have the bright sunlight or the distinct sun. It is the direct sunlight striking the subject. It is the brightest of all. It is highly directional. Images taken with distinct sun is characterized by extreme highlights, deep shadows, and it provides the highest contrast in the picture. So, pag nag-shoot po tayo under the bright sun or distinct sun, pag lumabas po yung image natin or yung shoot natin picture, lalabas po siya as HD or yung sinasabi po nating high definition na photo. And then next is hazy sunlight. It's the hazy sunlight when the sun is covered with thin clouds. Ito po may experience po natin ng hazy sunlight pag dumaan po tayo ng expressway. Yung parang may bigla pong dadaan na ulap and then after a few seconds, magiging maliwanag na po ulit. So yun yung example po ng hazy sunlight. But it's still clearly visible and it is illuminating your subject. It produces soft shadows and moderate highlight and contrast is also moderate, while rays are directional. Also po, another information about hazy sunlight, na meron pa rin po siyang shadow like the bright sunlight, but very subtle lang po. Very soft ang kanyang shadow. Next po tayo is yung dull sunlight or cloudy. Kung i-compare po natin siya sa dalawang na-mention kanina, dito po yung dalawang na-mention po kanina is meron pa siyang at some point shadow, lalo na sa hazy, and then bright is very distinct ang kanyang shadow. Dito naman po sa dull sunlight, it casts no shadow. So yung shadow mo dito, it is completely unrecognizable. The sun is shining bright but it is covered with thick clouds. So ang example po nito pag na-experience natin is yung walang araw pero napakainit. So yun po yung example or pag na-experience natin sa mga bahay-bahay natin is yun yung walang araw pero mainit. Yun po. And then the overcast sky, cloud or cloudy bright, the sun is bright but not visible. Light is soft and not directional. Skies may be covered with stationary clouds and provides no shadow and low contrast. So dito naman po tayo sa heavy overcast. Ang very much the same din po sila ng overcast sky, pero mas darker lang po. Kung i-compare po natin siya sa weather natin na na-experience ngayon, is yung pag malapit na pong umulan. And then babagsak na po yung ulan, parang ganun po pag heavy overcast. And then so light angles, we have front lighting, side lighting, back lighting, and overhead lighting. So pag sinasabi naman po natin front lighting, distinct sun is used as front lighting when it comes from behind of the photographer. So if you're shooting a scene po or a subject, you as the photographer, yung light dapat nanggagaling sa likod mo and then it emits to your subject or your location. It's the common belief that photographs taken at the early in the morning or late in the afternoon is better compared to photos taken in the other time. So the light when the sun is low or oftentimes described as magical. Colors are warm, shadows are long, and subjects glow with razor sharp clarity. And then side lighting, ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina when shooting the evidence, lalo na po is pag yung evidence po natin is yung shoe print or yung tool print po natin. Gumagamit po tayo ng side lighting. This type of lighting happens mostly in the morning or afternoon when the sunlight hits the subject from the either left flank of the photographer. It brings out textures, patterns, and shapes of the object, kagaya po na sinabi ko kanina. So, backlighting naman po, dito po yung mga ginagamit po ng mga millennials natin gano'n. It brings out the silhouettes of your subject. Kumbaga, ito ang backlighting po, dito po is yung aesthetically pleasing na against the light. Pag sinasabi po natin, backlighting. And then, overhead lighting naman po, this normally occurs in the noon time where the sun directly hits above your subject. This angle of lighting is generally not recommended for taking portraits kasi po, pag gumamit po tayo ng overhead, lalo na po sa ating face, ang brow bone po natin is nako-cover niya ang ating eyes, which is not very pleasing sa subject natin. However, it can be corrected with a fill-in flash pag gumamit po tayo ng flash sa ating camera. Characteristics of light or theories of light. Number 1 is wavelength theory. Yung under wavelength theory, sinasabi dito is that yung light daw is nagta-travel siya to our eyes through in the form of wave. For example, nakikita tayo ng pencil or yung phone or ng pen sa ating desk. Right there and then, yung eyes natin and our brain will process all sorts of information about that thing, like the color, gano'n siya kalaki, gano'n siya kahaba, or gano'n siya kalapit sa'yo, or gano'n siya kalayo sa'yo. So, according to Alhazen's theory, our eyes simply collects light that is falling onto them. So, also pala, according to Alhazen is that, why is it getting dark at some time? Bakit pag nagsara ka ng bintana mo or nagsara ka ng kortina mo, bakit nagiging dark? Bakit walang pumapasok na light? Kasi, the idea is that, yung mga ibang objects natin or most of the objects that we see, di naman talaga sila nag-i-emit ng own light. Inan lang naman yung mga things na nag-i-emit ng own light, just like the sun or the light bulb. So basically, the light that hits our eye is originated from the sun or the light bulb that travels in millions of miles across an empty space and then it will land into our eyes. So ganun po yung explanation natin sa wavelength theory. And then in quantum theory, according to Max Planck, ang pinaka-example nito na na-research ko is that pag lumayo ka ng sobrang layo sa sun, as in yung nasa space ka na, sobrang layo mo na, and then syempre, yung sun, palayo din ang palayo sa'yo. At to the point na magmumukha na lang siyang parang star. And then to the point din na parang magbi-blink na siya. So, according to this theory, quantum theory, pag nag-blink na yung sun na yon, that is equal to a energy named quanta. So, pag nagsama-sama yung blinks na yon, it will form a light. So, yun po yung quantum theory. And then we have the Rat law, the reflected, absorbed, and transmitted. So, we have the reflection. So, pag sinasabi natin yung reflection, very basic na po. Pag dumaan po yung light natin through a smooth, polished surface such as ang ating mirror. So, meron po tayong dalawang classification ng reflection. We have specular and the diffuse. Pag specular po, ayan, pag yung basic na pag-bounce or pag-reflect ng light dun sa surface natin. And then lalo na pag smooth po, pag specular, lagi po natin tandaan, smooth ang surface. And then pag diffuse naman po is pag rough ang ating surface. Ang blue line na po na to, ito po yung rays na originated from the sun or the light bulb, which is called the incident rays. And then ito naman itong red na arrow na to, ito po yung sinasabi nating reflected rays or reflected light. And then we have naman refraction. Nangyayari ang refraction po natin, nangyayari ang refraction of light pag yung light natin is dumadaan siya to a series of mediums. So, bakit nangyayari yon? Dito sa illustration po natin na to, ang sun natin dumaan siya through air and then water. Kaya nag-iiba po yung location. Let's say dito, mag-base po tayo sa illustration natin, is yung nag-iiba yung location ng ating fish. So, another naman example for another illustration is itong pencil na pwedeng gawin po natin sa bahay natin. Dito naman, kanya din nag-slow down kasi another term for refraction of light, it slows down the light or the bending of light. Dito naman sa glass na to, with the pencil, nag-travel yung light natin through the air, water, and then the glass. Kanya po, nagre-refract ang ating. So, diffraction of light. So, this is when the light passes through an opening and as you observe that light, nag-spread siya. So, ang example po ng diffraction of light is that pag nasa kwarto po tayo, try po natin patayin lahat ng ilaw and then ibukas po natin yung ilaw sa labas ng kwarto na yun. So, buksan po natin ng konti yung door and then i-observe nyo po yung ilaw is para siyang nagsispread. Makakakita po tayo ng parang line through that light. So, ito po, ganyan po ang makikita natin. That is the example of diffraction of light. And then, dito naman po tayo sa light mediums. We have mediums of light. We have the transparent, translucent, and opaque. So, pag transparent naman po, palagi po natin tatandaan that it transmits 90% or more of the incident light. So, ang transparent objects po is like yung glass of water po natin, yung air, yan, considered po siya as transparent objects, yung plastic yellow, ganun po. And then we have the translucent objects. Ito yung mga example ng translucent object po is yung mga frosted glass po natin, stained glass, or yung anything na may tint po, that is example po yun ng translucent object. And then the opaque po, example po nito is yung mga concrete walls, bricks, speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second or 186,000 miles per second. So, napakabilis po ng speed of light natin. Sobrang bilis. Radiation with wavelength shorter than 400 millimicrons. So, number 1 is ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light is divided into near and far ultraviolet, which ranges from about 200 to 400 millimicrons of wavelength. It is used for photographs of fingerprint or multicolored background. So, pinaka-helpful po siya sa fingerprints natin. Also, ginagamit din po ang ultraviolet light na COVID season po. Dahil sa kuna na to, ginagamit din po siya for sanitation. Documents that are altered chemically or writings and detections of secret writing. And then number 2 is X-ray, electromagnetic energy having a wavelength that ranges between 10 to 30 millimicrons. Objects which are opaque as seen by our naked eye can be penetrated by X-ray. So ginagamit po siya lalo na po sa pinaka-basic pong paggamit ng X-ray is medically. Pag na-fracture po yung buto natin, naputol po yung buto natin, in order para makita natin kung gaano kalaki yung damage ng bones natin, gagamit po tayo ng X-ray para malaman kung gaano kalaki or gaano kalala yung damage ng bones. To produce a shadow photograph in an internal structure of solid objects, X-ray is suitable. And then gamma rays. So another information po, gamma rays is also used by our surgeons. So syempre common na lighting sanitation process is yung UV light. So gamma rays is also used by our surgeons. Ginagamit po to for sanitation ng kanilang surgical equipment such as yung mga scalpel po, ganyan. So another use of gamma rays din po, it kills cancer cells. So, for example, meron po tayong cancer sa certain part ng body natin or may tumor tayo sa certain body part natin, i-focus dun yung gamma rays and then gamma rays will do its thing in killing the cancerous cells. And then, number 4 naman po is yung cosmic rays. Cosmic ray doesn't come from anywhere within our atmosphere, but it came from outer space. Bakit po nangyayari ang cosmic rays? During violent disturbance such as explosion of large stars to the supernova, billions of particles are emitted into space. So, marami pong mga particles dun sa result ng explosion na yon sa supernova, maraming particles po na magta-travel sa space. And a lot of the cosmic rays in the space, and some have traveled in billions of years para makaabot sa ating Earth. So, sometimes naman po, yung cosmic rays na yon, hindi naman talaga siya nagpe-penetrate sa ating atmosphere. Pero pag nag-penetrate po siya hanggang, let's say, nandun siya sa part kung saan pwedeng mag-travel ang airplanes natin. So, yung mga flight attendants natin, pilots natin, sila yung pinaka exposed sa cosmic rays. So, yun po. Invisible radiation with wavelengths longer than 400 millimicrons. Infrared light. Infrared light is also known as the blackout photography. In infrared light, very helpful siya in question document examination, lalo na po sa mga burnt documents natin. Because pag gumamit po tayo ng infrared light sa burnt document na yon, mas magiging readable or mas mababasa mo yung content or yung text ng document na yun with the help of our infrared light. And then we have radio waves. Ito yung mga alam po natin yung mga AM, FM, ganyan. Yung mga sa walkie-talkies po natin, yung mga ginagamit lalo na po sa ating security services. So, hindi na nila kailangan pumunta right there and then kung na doon sa location nila, merong emergency doon, ang gagawin nila is i-call out lang nila sa co-security officers nila and then may aid nila kung ano man yung emergency na yon. And then, number 3 is yung microwave. So, ang alam lang natin, pag microwaves, dito tayo nagpapainit. This is also used for communication process. So, paano nangyayari yun? Pag nagsisend ka ng text message, voice message, or ng photo sa kaibigan mo, ang information na yon magta-travel siya, magko-convert siya into signals, and then dadaan siya sa microwaves. And then, yung microwaves na yon pupunta siya sa nearest cell site, like ng sun, ng globe, ganyan. And then, iba-bounce back niya or ita-travel niya ulit yon through its destination, dun sa gusto mong sendan ng information na yon or yung text message na yon. And then, yung hertz and waves naman, ang hertz and waves, ito yung dating name ng radio waves. So, another information, Henrik Hertz is the one who discovered radio waves. So, yon. Bali, ang Hertzian waves, dati lang siyang name ng radio waves. So, ito po yung sinasabi kong electromagnetic spectrum. And then, we have the colors of light found in the invisible spectrum and color matters. Ayan po. And then, we have the color mixing of lights, color addition, color subtraction. And then, ito po. Ito po yung itong image na to, ito po yung summary nung addition and subtraction of colors. And then, in coloring matters, especially colors of coloring matters, color mixing, and coloring of coloring matters. And then, another yung summary lang din po nung pinresent ko. And then, so doon po nag-e-end ang ating chapter 2. So, keep it tuned po tayo sa ating YouTube channel and lalo na po sa aking mga students in the second year. So, God bless po and thank you very much.